welcome back to another episode of If You Know Your History, the podcast show brought to you by the Hibernian Community Foundation. On today's show, it is none other than Rob Jones, that League Cup winning captain who scored that goal on that faithful day. Rob, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Obviously, great to have you back on. You've obviously been back at Easter Road, one of the lucky few to be at the stadium recently. How did you find that experience?
Strange.
Yeah.
Very strange. No, it's nice to be back, but I wandered around the empty stadium for about 10-15 minutes and I wasn't comfortable. Stadiums are not built to be empty. Players play professional football to play in front of fans, so it was quite difficult to comprehend, really. That's the state that we're in at the moment. We all know the reasons why, but for me as a player, if I was to play now, I'd find it very difficult to play in empty stadiums because there's just no atmosphere whatsoever.
Does that make it more difficult? Because obviously the club support at Easter Road really took to you, and you probably can't imagine playing without them.
No, I've never played in games without supporters, which is nice. But it felt to me, coming through the doors, it was like it felt like a reserve game or a under 23s game, which is down here, where really the game has to be put on, but there's not really any real interest in it from the outside looking in, even though that we know that there is. From my point of view, I cannot comprehend playing league games, cup games behind closed doors. Cannot comprehend it because like you said, I needed that atmosphere, that noise, that energy that the supporters brought. And I'm sure there's many footballers out there that have found it difficult. But also, you probably find many footballers out there that are quite comfortable with the fact that the stadiums are empty. I've come across many players that are quite happy to train Monday to Friday and have Saturday off because they can't deal with the pressure and the demands from the supporters on a Saturday. But so you can see it from both sides. But the quicker we get fans back into stadiums, I know down in England we've started that process. Even though it's only small, it's still a massive step towards moving back into the right direction. Up there, you're still behind closed doors, so hopefully at some point you can get on that ladder too. But no, I think we'll get there eventually. But it's just been patient at the moment.
Obviously, a different era, but when you're breaking through tail end of the 90s, making your debut, how much did the fans play a part in that? When you come out of the park, cheering you on and giving you the confidence, because obviously there've been some nerves there.
I'm going to contradict myself here now because I say about the atmosphere and all that sort of stuff, but as soon as I go out and play, it's as if nobody's there. I'm completely focused on what I'm doing. People would say you're in the zone. I wasn't really in the zone. I just knew my job and I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I had to do. So I was that engrossed in probably organising players, understanding the team formation, the tactics that we've been spoken to all during the week, making sure everything was right. I can remember Tam, the kit man at the time when I was up there, when the famous song started. He came off after the game and he said, "What about that song?" And I said to Tam, "I haven't got a clue what you're talking about, Tam." So he sang it to me. And then obviously we've got it recorded and released back, and you can hear them, and it's quite a surreal moment. So that's probably the most pivotal side of it, the fact that I didn't even know they were singing the song about me because I was that engrossed in the game. But in warm-ups and whatnot, you like to see the fans coming in, walking in the droves, the noise that it creates, the clack of the seats, which is it's a strange noise, but it's a noise that you like and you become accustomed to. But once that whistle goes, it was for me was quite not a quiet, but more a focused noise, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's almost like white noise around you,
yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. How important was it for you? You were just talking there about the importance, formation, tactics, whenever you making your debut, coming on. Was those leadership qualities kind of implemented just very early on from a young age?
Not really. See, when I was younger, a lot of people will know this now, I was centre forward. So it was just give me the ball and I'd run through and go and score, which looking back now, I think was I that quick? I don't think I was. But no, I think the leadership qualities grew over time. I'd had adversity. Obviously, York City, I got released when I was 15. Well, I released myself when I was 15 because I didn't enjoy it whatsoever. I came out of it when I played men's football when I was 15-year-old, which helped. Having those older, knowledgeable individuals around me toughened me up an awful lot. Then I went to Whitby Town, got a bit of a knockback at Whitby Town. I was quite quiet character, didn't really get involved in things. Then from Whitby, I went to Spennymoor. Spennymoor, I became more of the vocal leader without that armband on, if you know what I'm saying. The one that people started to look towards when you're losing games or the last 10 minutes of the game, you need to win the game, and that's so people start to look towards me. And that's something that I think just grew in me. I think it probably was always there. I think that's the way I look at life, is you're either a leader or a follower. There's no other way for me. And I don't think you choose which way you go. I think it's ingrained in you, and I think the process eventually comes out. And thankfully, I find myself as a leader, and I think other people around me see me as a leader. I'm quite vocal. Well, I'm very vocal. I have probably the crazy broken nose, as you can see on the screen. I have the scars. I have the bald head. I'm 6'7". I get very angry at times. Well, I used to get very angry at times. I had a very short fuse. So I think from that point of view, if I'm looking at that from the outside, I'd follow that guy too. So I think it's something that it grows over time. And to be a leader, I think you have got to be confident in yourself, in what you're doing, in what you're transferring and transmitting to others. But it's something that, for me, it became a natural, normal thing. And I think because I'd had adversity and I'd had bad times and difficult times and lonely times, that probably benefited the leadership style that I have. The fact that I've been through those times that some people are going through. I am not a shoulder to cry on, but someone to lend a bit of information and a little bit of knowledge of what I did when this happened to me and what happened to me there, and how it got to the fact that I've come up the other side and all that sort of stuff. So I think there's a guy called Gary Medine who was at Sheffield Wednesday with me, and it was a strange one because we got along really well. Gary was a bit of a live wire at Sheffield Wednesday, but somehow I was able to control him. I don't know why, but I did. And it was just normal to me. And I left Sheffield Wednesday and went to Doncaster, and he tweeted, "My dad's left," which became quite apparent and quite heartfelt. I'm thinking, well, if that guy feels that much about me, I must be doing something right. And I think, even though, we talk about the facade and how I look and how I do things sometimes, but I'm here to help people. I want to help people. That's why I coach now. I want people to have what I had. I want people to go and fulfill their dreams and their requirements. And if I can pass over my knowledge and experiences to others, then great. If you're a follower, I don't think you can do that.
Probably like a manager's dream. Like, you can one moment be, the tough bad guy that give the players a shake if a game's not playing well or if the team are not playing well. But on the opposite side to that, you're helping not only just younger players, but anyone, experienced players as well, with their own issues, whether it be football or outside of football.
Yeah, you talk now about man management. That's the biggest thing in football right now, because we're all different. We're all wired up differently. We all react to different things. So I like being shouted at in the dressing room to get me going. Some players can't be shouted at. Some people need an arm around them. Some people need to be told how much they're loved in the dressing room. Some people need a cuddle. It's all different, and I think from a leading point of view, management point of view, whatever you want to do it, not just in football but in life, you've got to be able to address that and understand where the individual's coming from, because, like I said earlier, we're all different. We are all different.
You were talking there about you were quite quiet to begin with, and then it was over time with your experiences and players who help you kind of mould into not just player but the man you are today. is there any specific player or coach that stands out in those early days that helped molded you into that type of character?
I've had some good ones over the time, to be honest. I think Russell Slade when I was at Grimsby, he was really good for me. First season didn't go particularly well, got injured, struggled a little bit. That was really my first full season in football. And he was great with me. Knew when to be serious with me, knew when to have a mess on and a bit of crack. And just a good guy to be around. And you felt, even though I was injured at the time, and probably playing a few reserve games and getting back in and not getting back in, you felt wanted. And that's the biggest thing, I think. I think sometimes these players that on the fringes and know they're on the fringes, they don't really feel wanted and they don't really feel that they're part of the group, where at some point you might need that player. You might need that individual, and that individual might be one of the most vocal players in the dressing room. So you need him on your side, unfortunately, because they then can influence others. So, no, Russell was brilliant. Obviously, Tony was fantastic. I had Tony Mowbray for 3 months. The guy just oozes charisma, oozes the fact that you would just straight away you respect the guy, the way he carries himself, the way he walks, the way he talks. He never really raised his voice. Very placid, and I learned an awful lot from him in 3.5 months. He was brilliant. But then on the flip side, I had Gary Megson, who just shouts and balls and causes chaos, and I loved that too. Very passionate, very direct. Told you exactly how he wanted things. If he didn't do how he wanted it, he'd get rid of you and bring someone else in to do it. So he's another one that was fantastic with me. And then you go from there into Dean Saunders. Dean Saunders, one of the most laughable, jovial characters you'll ever come across in your entire life. He's got a story for absolutely everything. And we got on like a house on fire. So I think if you talk to many coaches or many aspiring managers now, they take the good bits from the managers they've had previously. And there's 4 there that I'll take an awful lot from and move on with. Dean was a character that I'm not really, so I don't really open up about what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking. I stand in the background and I like to survey and I like to watch and I like to see what's going on. And then people inevitably come to me. I don't know why they come to me, but they do come to me. But that's probably why all those pieces in the jigsaw puzzle is why I am what I am, and I won't change for anybody.
I was just about to touch on that there. Is there any, coaches you've had over the years that you're now bringing their style of management into your own coaching experience?
I think you still need to be who you are and what you want to be, and play the way that you want to play, and understand the game differently to others. But you'll bring mannerisms from meetings, chats, games from different managers. You talk about Tony there, the way he holds himself, and is very approachable, very knowledgeable. Those are characteristics that you need as a manager. Gary was really 100% there, so therefore you need a little bit from him too, because he was just driven to make sure that we were successful, and we were in that season. So that side of it, you've got to try and bring a little bit of Dean, which is very difficult to me, very, very difficult to me. And Russell was brilliant. So you do try and blend what you've seen, listened to, heard from people that you have respect for, but inevitably you still have to be yourself.
Just moving over to Hib's career now, 2006, roll back the clock. How does that move come about?
Obviously, I was at Grimsby at the time with Russell. I knew Russell was moving on. We got to the playoff final over at Millennium Stadium, got beat 1-0 off Cheltenham. But I knew Tony had been in the stadium for the previous 3 games, watching 8.5, because I think Gary Caldwell was going to Celtic at that point. He was coming to an end, so they needed a replacement for him. I knew he'd be in the stand because people talk, as football does. Very, very rarely is a secret kept in football. So I played in the cup final. We got beat 1-0. They got promoted. We didn't. Russell then left and went to Yeovil, I think it was. And Hibs made a bid into the club that initially was rejected. I then had already had done my homework on Hibs, the players, the management, the style, the history, and that sort of stuff, and it really excited me. My youngest, well, my oldest boy now, I think he was six weeks old when we left Grimsby and went to Scotland, so it was quite a massive upheaval. But going back to the thing, they rejected the first deal, and then there was a few discussions had between me and the chairman at that time, and it was come to a decision that yes, I could actually go. So it was quite quick, really, because in that time, Hibs were in Europe. Obviously, I just played in the League Two playoff final, which is another 2.5 weeks extended the season. So I think I had 10 days off, which I had to get my wife and Ethan, my oldest boy, up to Scotland, find somewhere to live, and then be in training. So it was quite a whirlwind. But I travelled on the train with my agent when the day that I signed. I wasn't initially going to sign that day. I came up to have a look at the football club and talk to Tony, talk to Mr. Petrie, and see how things felt and how I felt, what feeling I got from the football club. But I can remember now vividly that I pulled up to the stadium at the front gates in a taxi, and I said to my agent, let's just get it done. Because you get a feeling and you get like a tingle about certain things, whether they're right or whether they're wrong. And before I met Tony, I knew it was right. And going into the club, walking up the steps out of the tunnel, it was something that obviously I'd done it at Millennium Stadium 2 weeks before, but it was just, yeah, I want to be here. I want to be part of what Tony's trying to build here. And I see my future here. And then probably 3 hours later, I signed a 4-year deal.
How much did you know about kind of Scottish football and Hibernian before that move? Was it something that you'd, heard other players talk about if they had a stint up there, or players maybe you've played alongside that have made a move up to Scotland?
Well, at the time, the Scottish football was booming. We had all the top players in Rangers and Celtic. So you knew about Scottish football. You didn't know all about Scottish football, I'll admit that. But you do your homework. I did my homework before I went to Grimsby. I did my homework before I went to every football club. Not just on the club, but the players and the coaches and how they play and whatnot. So I did a lot of homework on that. But it was just somewhere I wanted to be. And I felt it was the next step in my career. And I didn't realise how well it would have gone.
How important is it for you to, as you say, do your homework and get a feel of every single part of the club, the coaching, the stadium, the fans, just so you know that 100% you're making the right decision?
Well, it just doesn't just have to fit for me, because, like I said earlier, I brought my wife and my 6-week-old boy with me, so it's important that they fit into. There's a side of it that they have to be comfortable, they have to be happy, because inevitably, if they're happy, then I'm happy. Then I'm happy, then I perform. And I've got no worries and no dramas. So it's important that it's right for you, but also right for your family too.
Even as well, like the city of Edinburgh as well, like I speak to a few of the players in the squad, probably Alex Gogic, the most recent one, who he moves up to Edinburgh and he takes his wife and his son, and settling in the city has played such a big part for him to enjoy his football. Was that the same with you, like moving up to Edinburgh as well?
It's just such a beautiful city and a vibrant city, and there's always something going on, and there's always somewhere you can go and visit. And it was good for us initially. Obviously, my wife was up and down the road with Ethan every now and again, because we were away in Europe, so she was not left on her own. But there's always something and somewhere to go and somewhere to be, and the atmosphere within the city is very cosmopolitan. It's very diverse, and we just fitted in, and it was very easy, very seamless to fit in. At the beginning, I think you feel like a tourist a little bit, and then it becomes normal. And then when you actually leave, you then reflect and say to yourselves, I wish I'd done this and I wish I'd done that. but you don't feel like a tourist after the first couple of months. You just feel like a normal person. And let's not be about the bush. It makes it much easier when the supporters attach themselves to you and accept you, and you feel that they're right behind you. That makes it so much easier.
Mm-hmm. You're saying as well, you make the move up, you sign a contract, and then a few weeks in, you're playing European football. How much was that a change of, you touched on saying in the playoffs, and then less than a month later, you're playing in Europe?
In a strange way, I find it quite easy because I just come out from playing full contact football. I had 10 days and I'm back into full contact football. So it was quite seamless. The group were great when I first came in, a mixture of old and very, very young. So the group were fantastic, welcomed me from day one, helped me find things, look after things, found things for Laura and Ethan to go and do when we were away. It was, you just got the feeling that it was more than just a football club. And we looked after very, very well. And going into Europe, I think they probably helped me going into the season. Even though the season didn't start very well, I think you gave a penalty away the first game of the season against Kilmarnock, I think it was. Even though it didn't start extremely well, we just felt at ease with the football club.
Mm-hmm. How important was that squad as well? Is there, any particular player that stands out to you that kind of help you settle in, or vice versa? You come in with your experience, and then there's a young player, for example, Lewis Stevenson, who's breaking through the ranks, and I can imagine you maybe helped him along the way.
Yeah, well, David Murphy's from my neck of the woods, so we'd had a few conversations about this, that, and the other. We didn't live too far away from each other. Obviously, you hadn't come across paths before, but I think it's always easier when someone's from the same region and neck of the woods that you're from. Stephen Glass was terrific with us, and then the younger ones, Scott Brown, he kept you on your toes. Little Jim Key kept you on your toes. Kevin Thompson kept you on your toes. There was a few of them. I think Simon Brown was great when I first came in. I always seemed to meander towards a goalkeeper. I don't know why, but I think every football club I've been at, I've had a good relationship with a goalkeeper or goalkeepers. So no, it was just a relaxed dressing room, and obviously I think the fact that Tony was in charge of that, I think that created that relaxed dressing room. I think the dressing room is a reflection on your manager and your coaching staff, and I think that was quite apparent when I first came in.
Was there a quiet confidence, would you say, then, with the players never got over their head? They weren't thinking too far ahead. I know it's a cliche, but it was essentially game by game, and everyone was very much grounded.
Yeah, well, there was a good blend. So you had the older players who'd been there, done it, and quite happy to nurture the younger ones, and you had the younger ones who just all I want to do is play football. So for them, it was just let me get on the pitch, and the older ones that hold the reins a little bit and make sure that everything's right and okay. And it was just a good blend in that dressing room at that time.
And obviously, working on two managers at the time with Tony Mowbray and then John Collins. Is there much of a managerial shift tactic wise? Was there similarities? How did that transition feel for you?
Well, both managers wanted to play football. I think that was apparent from people who watched the games under each stewardship. Obviously, John was different to Tony, but you won't get two managers exactly the same in your whole career. So we're all different. We all have different mannerisms. We all have different ways we want to do things. John was more along the lines of the fitness side of it and make sure that was looked after. Tony was more organising formations and understanding games and tactics and all that sort of stuff. So there was a difference. There was a difference, but that happens when you change management. And obviously, then Mixu came in after John left. Mixu was different to John. And then John Hughes came in after Mixu left. And John Hughes was different to Mixu. Even though I only had John Hughes 3 days, he was different again. So, no, I think Tony was Tony and John was John.
I think supporters would be very upset if we don't mention a very specific cup run in this podcast. Obviously, incredible run to the final. Just have a look back at the scores: about 4-0 against Peterhead, 6-0 against Gretna. Obviously, a bit of a edgy one against Hearts with 1-0, and then St Johnstone 3-1 after extra time. Does the man of that run with 3 clean sheets and goals are flying in, does that help going into that final, thinking we're a strong team and arguably could be favourites here?
I think we were favourites. I think we were favourites to everybody. I think I'm going to correct you now. That Hearts game, we were in complete control from start to finish. I know it was only 1-0, but it could have been 3 or 4. I think that was John Collins' first game in charge. So no, we were in control in that game from start to finish. No, I think we were favourites. Rightly or wrongly, it didn't really matter to us. We got on a great cup run. Obviously played very well at times, scored an awful lot of goals. And I go back to that blend of the youth and the old, and it was apparent right the way through the cup run, because the younger ones never got carried away. Obviously Kevin Thompson had left and gone to Rangers at that point just for Christmas time, so there was a bit of a change there. But no, I think the build up to that cup final week probably couldn't have gone any better, because it was kept as low key as possible, just like a normal week, a normal weekend. The press were kept away. I think the press were allowed in one day of the week for a couple of hours, and that was it. Out, finished, and we were back to doing what we were doing, as we were due to do. So it was quite smooth and seamless that week, which was really good for us. And there was a quiet air of confidence in the dressing room, but there has to be. It was a cup final. There's no point going to a cup final thinking what ifs and maybes and what about this and what about that. I think it was very apparent from the very beginning that there was a quiet air of confidence. Not too confident, because we didn't want to get over arrogant, but the atmosphere in the dressing room was good, really good. We'd had a good cup run. We knew we'd had a good cup run, and we could go and win the game. We didn't really probably envisage winning the game the way we did, but we knew we could go and win that game if we performed as we expected to, and as we should do.
How was that preparation the week leading up to it? Because I know you're saying your press kept away, quite confident. Have you ever had like preparation like that for a big game before? Was this something different, or was it very much what you're used to?
Well, I played in the playoff final the year before, and the press, to be fair, were all over you. And we actually went into the stadium, the Millennium Stadium, the day before, and watched the game the day before. And looking back now, I thought that was wrong, because it takes a little bit of shine off it, off the fact that you're going to play the next day. It doesn't give you that added buzz. That's the first time you're at the stadium. This is what you see. It's all new and it's all shiny and it's all bright. But no, it just felt like a normal week. I know it was not a normal week to the supporters and whatnot, but to us, it was just, this is our job. This is what we're here for. This is what we want to do. And in football, you want to win leagues, you want to win trophies, and you want to do well as an individual. And the end of your career, you want to look back and have a cabinet full of trophies and medals. And I think that's how driven the group actually was.
And obviously, you're describing there about the game, how it pans out, probably a bit more comfortable than people are predicting, yourself on the score sheet as well. Personally for you, cup final, goal in the final, that must have been a special moment.
Oh, it's every young boy's dream, isn't it? To play in a cup final, to score in a cup final and be the one that lifts a trophy. It's just, so in 90 minutes, I fulfilled my dream 3 times over. Just incredible. I got goosebumps now thinking about it. It's one of those things that will stick in your mind for forever and a day. Those kinds of scenes don't disappear and don't dilute. I think the fact that when I opened the curtains in the hotel on the morning it was snowing wasn't a great sign. We went for a walk and it was freezing cold. Not a great sign. But no, the bus journey was great. We had a individual montage in the bus on the way down, which helped the group. It kept it quite placid. And then just seemed to be a bit of a switch. So we came off the motorway and then onto the dual carriageway on the way to Hampden, and then the sea of green, you could see it. And I can remember the bus, it changed from that moment onwards. So I think it was all jovial and chatter and whatnot. And then as soon as that, it became very serious. It became very apparent what this 90 minutes meant to our supporters at our football club. And from then on in, it couldn't have gone any better, really.
And then, obviously, another probably personal highlight for you, the third Hibernian captain to lift the trophy at Hampden. You're essentially forever, no matter what you do next or wherever you go in your career, you're forever implemented in the club's history.
Yeah, special. When I signed on that summer morning, I didn't envisage what was going to happen less than 9 months later. So for me, like I said earlier, dreams come true sometimes, and you're that kid on the backfield, and you've got a favourite player, and you want to be that favourite player, then you want to lift a trophy, and you want to score goals, and all that sort of stuff. And there was nothing better than that feeling and that day. Obviously, scoring the first goal was magical. That's the only time I could hear the supporters because it was quite noisy. But no, the pivotal thing for me is I remember seeing a picture of me lifting the trophy because I lifted it with Scott Brown at that time. And over my right shoulder is Ethan, my oldest boy. And he's in that picture, and which brings it all home to me, really.
We were touching on as well before we start recording that you've captained at some point every club you've been at. How's that come about? Is it just a matter of your just leadership qualities? Is it trust from the coaching staff or even the squad itself that they can obviously turn to you?
It's a difficult question to answer because I'm not the one that made the decision in the first place. So I don't know. Maybe a manager would say it differently if he was asked a question about me. But I think, like we said at the very beginning, I have those leadership skills. I don't know, maybe it comes back from the teaching. When I was a teacher before I came to football, I don't know. But no, thankfully, and it's something that's very special to me that I've captained teams along the way for an awful long time. I think sometimes it just fits. It does. I think it helps that I was centre half. I think it helps that I was extremely vocal. I think it helps that I was extremely passionate. I think it also helps that you find yourself an integral part of that dressing room, and people can relate to you, not just in the dressing room, but outside the dressing room. I think I related quite well to the supporters at the football clubs I was at. But I don't know the pivotal answer to that because I was not the one that made the decision. I remember Gareth Ericsson gave me it at Sheffield Wednesday, which is my boyhood team. So that was incredible. But I found out the day before because he put it on social media. No, he didn't tell me himself. We played works on the Saturday, so he put out on the Friday that I was going to be the captain for the season. Never said anything Saturday, just the armband was on my peg. And then Monday morning he called me office and he said, right, you'll be captain this year, but do not make me take it off you. And that was it. Get out. And that was it. So it might be a pivotal question towards him. But no, it's a special accolation to be a captain of any football club. But maybe the fact that I'm 6'7", I'm bald, I've got a broken nose and I've got scars all over my face. Maybe the managers that were wanted to manage with fear rather than anything else. So no, for me, special. Really, a real big high point in my career. But to answer the question, you're probably going to have to ask one of those.
Just on that Sheffield Wednesday portion, does it help that there wasn't a big deal made of it? It was just, right, here you go, you're captain of the season. There was no discussion beforehand. There was no, what do you think? It's just, this is happening. And you didn't have to think about it too much. It just happened.
I think, well, I'd been on loan the previous season, and the captain, when I came on loan, got injured, and he pulled me, the gaffer, and he said, "I want you to be captain, but you can't be captain because you're on loan." So that was that, finished, done. Obviously, the captain left at the end of the season, and then you don't really think about it because you've got that much going on pre-season. You want to make sure that you're fit and you're healthy and you're right to play in the first game and all that sort of stuff. You don't really think about it, but I think the fact that he was quite flippant with it was the fact that he was very comfortable in giving it to me and making sure that I knew what it meant. I think he knew what I knew, that what it meant to him and the football club, and what a prestigious title it gives you. But no, he was just Gary was just Gary. That was just the way he did things.
Just back to Hibernian and that League Cup final, obviously that probably is the standout moment alongside maybe signing. Is there any other key moments from your time at the club that stick out to you as moments to remember?
Well, I think my first goal, a home game in the cup. I think we got beat 3-2 overall, I think, in that game. I'm not sure whether it was Odense. It might have been Odense. Michael Stewart volleyed the ball, hit me on the head, and one-footed the goalkeeper went on the other side. I was the makeshift centre forward at that point because we needed the score. But that was a pivotal point for me as a whole, because people kept saying we've signed this goal-scoring centre half. And until you get that first goal, they're waiting and the pressure mounts and mounts and mounts. So it's nice to get off to a flying start from that point of view. I think the season that I left, we played Celtic and Rangers at home. I think we drew with both of them. I got man of the match twice. So I had a pivotal role in the title run at that point. The Hearts goal in the cup is a massive one for me. Obviously, we were 1-0, but the fact that I scored and led us to win the game was incredible. Anything against them lot is an added bonus. But no, I don't think you could. Well, you can put games out there as special, more special than others. But for me, I came into the game late, so every game that I played was a bonus to me, and it was something that I cherished every single time. I never went in a game and put anything less into a game than I did before or would after. I just was so grateful to actually be given the opportunity to play professional football. It was just as simple as that. And going back, that's probably why I was made captain sometimes, because of that heart in your sleeve kind of attitude. But no, I knew that I was never the best footballer in the world and the most pleasing on the eye footballer in the world. But what I would give you, I'd give you everything I got. So again, that's probably another reason why you were probably thrown to the forefront of the group and said, "This is the guy that you need to be like, and I want you to lead this group into where we're going to go."
Obviously, the club at the moment have been on a bit of a League Cup run themselves, through to back to hand and another semi-final to look forward to. With some of the big names being knocked out of the tournament so far, it's probably a really good opportunity to get to a final again. Is there any similarities with this squad and the run they're going on to the squad that you played in? Any specific players or even the management that kind of sticks out similar-wise?
Well, I think defensively, you talked about earlier that we had 3 clean sheets in that running. They obviously started the season extremely well with shutouts. It wasn't until I arrived at that Aberdeen game that they conceded the first goal, I don't think. So that was a bit of an omen. No, there's some similarities, but I think teams, but in my experience and my past, you don't really want to be compared to the team previous or anything like that, or what they did 20 years ago or 30 years ago, because we're in the here and now. I think Hanlon's done really well at the back. He's an organiser. He's committed. They got the big boy Marciano in goal. So, and then you're now scoring goals up top. So, no, I think as long as they're winning games and put themselves in that position to go and win trophies and change history, then all for them. But to refer them to what it was like when I was there, and then now to what it might be like in 5-10 years is quite a difficult one, because it's a totally different generation, totally different sample of players. We played differently then as to what the club do now. So no, I wish them every success in the future, and I mean that wholeheartedly, because it's a great club, fantastic fan base, and deserve everything that they get in a positive manner. But to try and pinpoint them with what happened then and what happened now is quite a difficult one.
Is there any, just maybe on that then, is there any player that kind of sticks out in the squad that you'd have loved to play alongside?
I like the boy Nesbitt, like him. He's a player that's come from the lower leagues, delighted to be at the football club, really passionate about what he wants to do, passionate about not just being happy to be there. He wants to actually emulate something and do something, and he scored a lot of goals this year. Obviously, he's been injured a few times too, but no, the way he plays, he works extremely hard for himself and the team. He gets on the end of things. He's a constant threat going forward. He causes defenders chaos at times. So he's another one that's probably out of my school of football, really. So no, long may he continue to be successful.
Just conscious of time. It's been a great discussion so far. But part of these podcasts is surrounded our Christmas appeal, helping families in need this Christmas with food donations, clothing, gifts for kids who are not as fortunate. Obviously, the support for you when you're playing here meant so much. It's obviously great for us if we've got this platform to raise money that we can give back to those in need.
Oh, very much so. I think it's a real difficult time of year on its own, but with what's going on with COVID at the moment, it makes it 10 times more difficult. There'll be people out there now spending Christmas alone. There'll be people out there away from their families, and if anybody has the opportunity to help in any way, small or big, then please do that, because it makes an enormous difference to an awful lot of people. But the main priority is everybody staying as safe and as healthy as possible. That's the main aim at the moment. But if you can, at some point, possibly, I don't know, donate a present, donate this, donate that, put a smile on someone's face, make a massive difference.
We were talking about, at the start of the podcast with when you were first making your way up through the ranks, that kind of quietness you had and maybe the loneliness factor. Obviously, you've grown as a character from then till now. During the lockdown period where a lot of people are isolating, how important was it for you to kind of stay engaged both mentally and like physically?
Oh, very much so. Obviously, I had my wife and my 2 children here, but I ran an awful lot, and that's my release. I did a lot of courses, certificates, coaching-wise, mental health-wise. I did a lot of those over lockdown. But running is the main thing for me. Whenever I wake up in a mood, as my wife would say, she would give me my trainers and say, off you go. And she's done that for a long time. And let's say I've been through pre-paid trainings in lockdown, so I've done a lot. But no, we're all different, aren't we? But I think as long as we look after our loved ones closest to us, as long as we try and keep us as positive as possible. And talking is a big thing. We're talking here for an hour and a bit, and it's great. It's great to have a chat. It's great to have a discussion. And I love these kinds of things. So I've done, I think, 3 or 4 now this year, 2 with yourselves, and just talk about football and reminiscing sometimes is nice and helpful, not just for me, but the people listening to what you've got to say. I love talking football. I love answering questions. Some answers are difficult than others, but no, I think we're going through a difficult time as a nation and as a world. So we're all in this together, and let's not leave anybody anybody out of that. If you feel that you're struggling, please speak to somebody and get the help that you need, because it is out there. And likewise, if you not think that someone's struggling that's close to you or anything like that, then please go out your way and try and help them, because it's really apparent that it's needed right now, and it's such a nice time of the year to go and help someone and influence someone in a positive manner.
Just to build on that, just for a kind of final question as well, it shows how much football can be a factor of bridging those gaps with mental health and pulling people together. That one thing we've all got in common is football.
Yeah, very much so. Football is in everybody's blood. Whether you're in favour or not, you've probably got a husband, a wife, a son, a daughter who's football crazy, and we all know football. We all know football clubs. We all know what Saturday afternoon brings to cities and to football clubs. And no, there's no better way to embrace that. And like I said at the very beginning, let's get people back into stadiums as quick as possible when it's safe to do so, because that will make an enormous contribution to people's mental health well-being, and the personal factor of feeling good about yourself and feeling valued. Football is more than just a game. It's so much more than just a game.
Rob, I think that's the perfect note to end on. Thank you very much for coming on. I hope those either watching or listening enjoyed it as much as we did recording.
Oh no, an absolute pleasure. Like I said earlier, I'll talk football all day long. We'll run out of battery by the time I've finished. But no, if I've helped put a smile on their face for those who listen to the podcast, then great. It's just, for me, a little bit of a token of giving back to a football club that's dear to my heart.